And then rounding things out with the rumor mill, we have rumors that the Venom series over at Sony might not be done like we were thinking. Wolverine game rumored to be delayed for a very significant reason, actually. And then the Fantastic Four movie changed its title. Let's get into this.
It's classified.
Hello nerds, and welcome to the Rumor Mill. You have found the appropriate cheat code to get to the news before it becomes news. Here we will discuss rumors in the pop culture and nerdy realm of things, then we will discuss the probability that those rumors are legitimate, and then finally probably a little bit of my own personal speculation. If you want the more concrete news that has already become news, then there is a full news show over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom, which you can find linked down in the description, as well as at the end of this video. Now, let's see what all of those rumor mongers have to say, and which of them are just plain full of poop. Confirmations, refutations. We have a confirmation. Technically, we probably should have done this one last week, though. I just wasn't paying attention to this series to know that it had properly been revealed. Maybe even 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I'm not watching Agatha. But Agatha All Along, the silly show that's on the Disney Plus that technically is going to have some sort of significance in the MCU at large, but I don't know how significant of impact. Aubrey Plaza's character is, in fact, Lady Death. It was revealed at some point in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So confirmation of rumor that we got months ago. Who cares? Let's move into our new rumors. We have no new sources for old rumors, just the new rumors to get to. First up is the big one, and it is Agent Venom. We have word to, and honestly, at this point, fairly moderately decent reason to believe that we're going to be getting an Agent Venom. That, though, is not where the rumor ends. The rumor then goes on to say not only are we getting an Agent Venom, but they are actively in some stage of production on the project. So, things that should be noted for this. It is not going to be Eddie Brock Venom. It's going to be Flash Thompson Venom. No idea who is supposedly going to be playing Flash Thompson, but then it elaborates even further. So we've got a lot of specificity with this one. Elaborates even further, goes into say that it is going to tie into not only a Sinister Six movie, which Sony has been talking about for some time, but also Scarlet Witch. And I think that's the biggest issue with this rumor. The Sinister Six movie has been on the back burner for a very significant amount of time at this point from Sony. So that part, sure, why wouldn't it? Because, you know, if they're going to do that, Venom's a good way to get that going. Scarlet Witch, though, there is very little, especially now that the Last Dance movie has been released, there is very little evidence or any sort of reason to believe that they are actually going to do crossover into the MCU with Venom at all. Scarlet Witch is MCU proper. Venom is the Sony Spider-less universe. These two universes are not going to cross paths in the near future at all, but very likely not ever, aside from the kind of minor crossing of paths at the end of Venom 2, I think it was. I can't remember. Either way, yeah, just that if not for this Scarlet Witch piece, this would be going a lot higher, a lot higher. But because it does say that there's going to be some sort of significance to the Scarlet Witch movie, that drops it down below half. This is unlikely to be the case, specifically because of that. I think there's a good, healthy dose of truth in the rest of it. But because of the Scarlet Witch thing, we're saying 40% likely that we're going to be seeing Agent Venom to this degree. Will we see Agent Venom? Sure. I think there's about a 50% likelihood that there will be an Agent Venom movie in the not so distant future. Are they currently working on it now? That's the other thing that kind of kills this. No, I don't think they are. I think they're kind of recouping, waiting to make sure that they recoup their cost for the Venom 3 movie before they move forward with the symbiote on a different actor, because Tom Hardy, I think, is probably the biggest draw for those movies to begin with. So now that he's not going to be moving forward with it, I think there's a lot at play there that they're going to not want to invest as much in, and so probably not currently moving forward with it yet. So again, 40%. Next up is Game of Thrones. This one is being kind of announced as fact at this point, but if anyone tries to tell you that this is in fact happening for sure 100%, they're not being honest with you. But we have rumor, and this is a very good source because it's in the trades at this point. We have rumor though that there is a movie that is going to be happening that takes place after the events of the Game of Thrones series. Said to be an extension of the Game of Thrones series. It is noteworthy that David Weiss and Bennioff both were trying to push for the conclusion of their story in 3 parts in 3 movies. So the idea of a Game of Thrones movie has been kicking around for some time. Again, this is coming from the trades at this point. I think that the only reason I didn't go higher than I have on here is because it seems that everyone's pushing it so hard that maybe they're going to kill it in the hype. That the hype is just going to reach a fever pitch and then nobody's going to want to touch it. So we're going to say 80% likely that we are going to be seeing a Game of Thrones movie that is directly tied to the HBO series. Next up is a gaming rumor. This one is the Wolverine game. We have word that the new game from Insomniac is very likely going to be pushed back because they are going to be starting from scratch. The little bit of a tease that we got last year at the Game Awards, or was it the year before? I can't remember. I think it was last year. That little bit of a teaser is completely getting scrapped. Everything that was coming out of that is getting scrapped, and they're starting from ground zero because they want to go in a different creative direction. Now, there's been speculation based on this rumor as to why that is, why they would want to go in a different direction. The big speculation is that it was, I can't even remember the name of the company, or Sweet Baby related and DEI related. And now that things have changed in the American country, DEI seems no longer going to be something that is embraced by the gaming industry. Crossing fingers. So, since that apparently is the direction it was going, Insomniac has decided they want to go in a different direction. I think there's a fair amount here. Enough people are talking about this that are rumor types that it definitely makes sense. And it's a gaming rumor. And very rarely do I source poor gaming rumors. So we're gonna give this one about 95%. Technically though, since there wasn't a release date announced, the setback part isn't, you can't really verify that it's going to be delayed necessarily, but it is going to be a while longer before we see it because they're starting from scratch. So let's move next into a real quick one. This is a Tom Cruise rumor. Days of Thunder supposedly is going to be one of the movies on his slate. He's currently working on the second half of Mission Impossible 8. He is also currently working on the sequel to Top Gun Maverick, another sequel to a revival sequel, Lego sequel, whatever the hell you want to call it, to a movie that he did back in the 80s. Seems unlikely, but it's Tom Cruise, so who freaking knows? 50% likely on this one. I don't know. There's enough really to go on either side of this. We're going to split the difference. Next up is Fantastic Four. There is interesting reason to believe, though I don't think that it's accurate, that the subtitle for Fantastic Four, which is currently First Contact as it's been announced, is First Steps. I totally just did the thing. First Steps is the current subtitle. They're going to be changing it to First Contact, is the rumor. This comes from one of the people that is part of the production. I don't remember if it's an actor posting. Somebody who is associated with the project has posted a resume on LinkedIn, and they have listed their involvement with this project as the title of the movie being Fantastic Four First Contact, not First Steps. I feel like that's probably a typo. That's probably, maybe he was putting his resume together with an AI and the AI screwed it up. Maybe, I don't know. There's any number of other reasons this could be a thing. I think though there is a slight chance that this is going to be happening, given some of the other rumors surrounding the Fantastic Four movie. It seems like if the Galactus rumors, any of those Galactus rumors are true, First Contact would be slightly more appropriate, which is the only reason we're going as high as we are. I still don't think this is accurate, but I'm going to say 35% likely that the subtitle for the Fantastic Four movie is going to change. If we can corroborate this from a better source, then I would say there's better likelihood. But right now, the only source I was able to get, because I don't have LinkedIn. I don't do that. So the only source I could get was one of the weaker sources that we use. Next is technically two different rumors, but they both are basically the same rumor for different Marvel characters and also come from the same place. So we're going to treat them as one, but the rumors are that Death and or Wiccan are going to be getting their own spin-off show from the Agatha show, which itself was a spin-off from WandaVision. I don't think that's happening at all. The ratings for Agatha were poor. They did get slightly better as we got closer to the end, but I think that was more out of morbid curiosity and not necessarily because people cared. So that's kind of why we went as high as we did, because the ratings did improve over time. Still, I'm pretty sure the ratings overall were less than the Acolyte, and the Acolyte got shit canned pretty quick, right? So yeah, I can't imagine that they're going forward with either of these. There is the possibility, though, because we are moving into a new era of Disney Plus, there is a possibility we see one-off episodes. And by one-off episodes, I mean pilot episodes for one or both of these properties. Will it go beyond a pilot? I doubt it. But there is a slightly better chance of seeing a pilot episode for these. So that again is kind of what brought us up out of the single digits for the likelihood for this one. So we're going to say 30% likely that there will be either a Death or a Wiccan spin-off series from Agatha. It seems slightly more likely that we'll get a single episode as a pilot that won't go anywhere. We'll check back. From there, though, speaking of Agatha, we now have a season 2 rumor. Agatha getting renewed for a season 2. This honestly probably could have been wrapped up into the Death and Wiccan stuff we just talked about, because it comes from the same source, and for the same reasons I can't get behind this. The first season did not do well enough for them to justify a second season. So I don't think this is legit. Again, kind of rehashing the same stuff. They did pick up in ratings towards the end of the series, or the season rather, so that kind of increases the possibility. Still not even halfway there, though. We're going to say 30% for this one as well. And then we have another Blade rumor. This one seems it's definitely a bad source, so you already know where that's going. But we now have rumor that if you look back at the MCU release date schedule, there are 2 movies in 2026 there are 2 release dates that don't have movies attached to them yet. One of them is in November and one of them is in December, if I'm remembering correctly. Well, according to this rumor, the Blade movie, which we have reason to believe is still moving forward in spite of the fact that the release date has been canned. It's been pulled. There is still reason to believe, though, that they are moving forward with production on it. They are said to be going into principal photography in 2025, in early 2025, if I'm remembering the rumor correctly. But then this rumor says that 2026, the November date in 2026 is going to be the day that we get released. That's still far too close. From everything we know about why and all of the reasonable conjecture that we can come to as to why the Blade movie has been postponed to some degree, pushed back, shelved, whatever, says that it's going to be coming out after the multiverse saga comes to an end. So after Avengers Secret Wars, not after Doomsday, not between Doomsday and Secret Wars, after Secret Wars. So that puts it a full phase out, because Secret Wars is the end of the next phase. So that's not going to be 2026. 2026 we'll see the end of the multiverse phase, but then we got to go beyond that, right? So this one we're going to go about 40% likely, because it is possible. I dates move, things change. I just don't see this one moving forward like it is. That being said, we have no proper speculation to get into for this episode, so that brings us to the end of the rumor mill, nerds. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.